Welcome. It's evening in Toronto. Good evening, and it's morning on the other side of the world. So good morning to those in the Pacific. I'm Andrea Spindle, president of Kulanu, Canada, one of two organizations presenting today's webinar entitled The Past and Current Story of the Jews of Indonesia. We are thrilled to partner with Kulanu US, the organization that was the inspiration for our organization in Canada. Both organizations support emerging and re-emerging Jewish communities in isolated areas and respond to their requests for assistance in living Jewishly, whether studying, practicing, learning customs, practicing Jewish practices, gathering in Judaica, in order to join the mainstream global Jewish world. Kulanu Canada is a small charitable organization that has raised funds to contribute to Jewish communities in Ghana, Suriname, Ethiopia, and India. Kulanu US provides many types of supports and assistance to dozens of Jewish communities dispersed around the globe. We invite you to visit our respective websites and support our work by donating online. Today, we're also very pleased to acknowledge and thank our co-sponsors, the Canadian Institute for Jewish Research, BINA, the Indian Jewish Community in Canada, the Lodger Center Congregation, Beth Tikva Synagogue, and Shaar Hashamayim in Indonesia. We are very fortunate to have Yaakov Baruch, leader of the Indonesian Jewish Community, with us from Manado. Am I pronouncing it right? A small town near the tip of the island of Sulawesi. For Yaakov, it is Friday morning. Just arranging meetings across many time zones was a challenge, and I'm very grateful that he has made this happen. Yaakov was born and raised in Jakarta, the capital of Indonesia, and moved to Manado in the 1990s. While in high school, he discovered that his maternal grandmother was Jewish. He had previously only known her as being Dutch and living in Indonesia because she'd married an Indonesian man. I guess this intrigued him because Yaakov began to actively study his Jewish roots when he went to college, and he eventually began to explore Judaism more deeply until he met some Jews in Indonesia, and I'm sure he will tell us more about this encounter. In 2000, Yaakov founded a synagogue and relocated it in 2004 to a permanent home. In 2006, he started visiting Jewish communities outside of Indonesia. He visited the community in Singapore, studied Judaism with a local rabbi. He visited Israel, Europe, and America, and always tried to visit a yeshiva and learn more. During the pandemic, he joined a smicha program from Torah V'Havta under Rabbi Chaim Ovadia and Rabbi Meiko Habib online. Since 2003, Yaakov has been a member of a local Indonesian organization. I'm not going to try to say the name of it. I tried earlier. He will tell you, which was founded in the 1930s by Jewish groups from the Netherlands and Iraq, which had become much less active since Indonesian independence. In 2007, he and others of Jewish descent in Indonesia began to reactivate the organization and had a synagogue community in Surabaya. But in 2011, that synagogue was sold to pressure on the Jews. His current synagogue was renovated in 2019, at which time the members decided to change the minhag, the traditions, to the Western Sephardic or Spanish Portuguese Jewish communities. And finally, in 2022, the synagogue was consecrated by Rabbi Jeff Berger of the Webley Synagogue of the Spanish and Portuguese congregation in London. I must say, this is so different from my experience 50 years ago traveling across Indonesia. I so wish that I had known there were Jews there. Yaakov, welcome. I know you have much to share with us today, and I can't tell you how very grateful we are that you're giving us time to talk about your community and your own personal journey. And I want to remind everybody that the webinar is being recorded and will be available, that Yaakov will take questions from the audience after his presentation. And so please use the Q&A function on your Zoom to enter a question. You can use the chat to share information, tell us where you are, but please communicate respectfully with one another. Yaakov, over to you.
Hi, Andrea. Shalom. Shalom, everyone. Boker Tov, or good morning from Indonesia, and good evening for all of you there. I want to share So I will explain about the existence of the Jewish community in Indonesia in the past, present, and we start to doing in the future. Okay, the history of the Jews in Indonesia is began with the arrival of the group of the Dutch Jewish merchant who came to Nusantara, or we call it the area of Indonesia in the past, during the colonial era. Not only the Dutch Jews, but we also have Iraqi Jews at the time. And as we know, during the 1850s, most Jewish family were Dutch descent and lived predominantly in Batavia or Jakarta now. The Dutch Jews play a vital role in the development of the Spicy Island. At the time, approximately about 20 Jewish families live on the island at 1850s. Most Jews in the 1800 something, however, were not very religious and no Jewish community center on the time. And later on, when we start our 90s, like 90s, 20s, Jews arrived from the Netherlands and also from the Baghdad and Aden, and the Jewish community center were organized in numerous cities. One of the center is the Baghdadi Jews, who are the most observant of the all Jewish Indonesian, are settled in Surabaya. As we can see in the pictures, this is the Jews in Surabaya Jewish community. When they start to establish a Jewish community, they call it Israelitische Gemeente van Surabaya. It's in the Dutch language. And we can see a small children with the kippah and talit in the front of the synagogue in Kayun in Surabaya. After the World War II, the Baghdadi Jews established a synagogue and the Jewish community in Surabaya that is called Israelitische Gemeente van Surabaya, and the small Jewish community in Surabaya that actually is number about 5,000. Actually, it's not really a small 5,000 Jews on the time in Surabaya during the before the Second World War. They was able to build the synagogue and the land donated by the local family. The synagogue was built out of the bricks that were handmade by the family who lived there. In the net, we can see some pictures here that there is a rabbi. It's the rabbi named family van Velde. He do it the huppah for the Iraqi Jewish couple in Surabaya. So mostly the community is a mix between Dutch and the Iraqi Jews. And also there is a Brit Milah on the time in the pictures in the left. And as you can see, this is how they do the Brit Milah on the time in Surabaya. This pictures belongs from the family of Eli Dweck. And also in the right, you can see the pictures when they celebrate the Bar Mitzvah in the family Masri. Family Masri is like a big family. If you can say it's like in German, it's like a Rothschild family. And then in Asia, it's like Sassoon. And in Indonesia, we have a Masri family. It's very biggest, like wealthy family. So they celebrate the Bar Mitzvah on the time. Pictures is around 1930 something. They celebrate in the front of their house in Surabaya. As you can see, there is a mix between the Iraqi and the Dutch Jews on the time during the celebration of the Bar Mitzvah. And later on, when we changed the government in 1965, there's a coup d'etat by the General Suharto on the time, which led a widespread anti-communist sentiment in Indonesia. Many Jews felt unsafe living there and left because on the time, after the independence of Indonesia, many people do it like they against the Western people. And as we know that on the time, the Jews is considered as a Western people because they came from Holland and also some from European country like German and Poland and also from the Iraqi. So this trend continued until the economic crisis hit Indonesia in 1997. Until 1997, many Jews hidden themselves, not practice religions, they even they converted to other religion all the time. So we don't have really a Jewish activity until 1997. And from that point, many more Jews left because they could not afford to stay. But when the local Jews left, we have many the expat Jews who works in Jakarta. They start to invite the rabbis from states or sometimes from Europe or even Israel. So they start like expat Jewish congregation or community in Jakarta. I met few of them who built this community in 2009 something in Jakarta, mostly American expat Jews and European expat Jews, and some Israeli who live in Indonesia. Later on, yeah, in early 2000, Yaakov Baruch, myself, the great grandson of the Elias van Buchen, Alav Shalom. So my great grandfather was, after she was born in Gravenhage or in Den Haag, he came to live in Surabaya first and active in the local Jewish community there. And then on the times he moved to Manado and died. He was buried here. And also in early 2000, when I started the mission to re-establish a Jewish community in Indonesia, I working with some Surabayan Jewish elders like Mrs. Maureen Elias and David Masri on the time. That I tried to establish a communication between the Jewish community and around the world. So I start with the Singapore, and I contact with the other community like in Israel and like in America as well. So like we do it. I try to not only reestablish the community, but I try to make the glorious time of our Jewish community in the past can be happen again. But I know it's very difficult because Indonesia is the biggest Muslim population country in the world. I found out it's not very easy. So this is some pictures that we're doing in the past. This is around 2010. Me and Mrs. Maureen and Uncle David, that I call him, he passed away last year. Alav Shalom. Also, we works with the Iraqi and the Dutch descendant Jews who still live in Jakarta, and also the visitors. If we do the high holidays in Jakarta, we ran American Club. It's facilitated by the U.S. Embassy. We can rent the room. We can even order some kosher food on the time. And also, if not in the American Club, we ran a 5-star hotel for the security or for the safety reason. Because as you know, Jakarta is not safe place for the Jews. This is some pictures that we're doing like a Purim, like high holidays on the time. Some people in the pictures already passed away. May their soul rest in peace. But I still remember the time when we re-established the community. The pictures that you saw it, like Mr. David, he was have a bar mitzvah on the time when you saw the pictures before in the black and white pictures. And also we have like bar mitzvah and bat mitzvah from the expat as well. So we try to I bring the Sefer Torah from our synagogue, and we join together as the local Jews and the expatriate Jews. And this is some pictures this is before I start we practice the song before we start the Seder, the Laila Seder, between me and some people who still alive on the time, like Mr. David. And next to him is Mrs. Maureen Elias, and one lady is my great grand aunt. My grand aunt, sorry. And also some pictures, if you see, with the two Chabad Shliach, at the time I working with Chabad, they come and to teaching me how to do the Shechita. So this is what I'm doing, these pictures from 2008, if I'm not wrong, yeah. After we do the Seder in Bali with the 200-300 people at the time, we fly to Jakarta, and some Shliach teach me how to do the sheikh for the chicken. And also I visit on the time some Jews who still alive in the office. They came from Surabaya, but they moved to Jakarta. It was this is a family Abraham. Both of them is already passed away. David Abraham and his father. They work as a lawyer in Jakarta. And for the next pictures, yeah, not only I try to gathering the people, but on the time I also try to make the synagogue in Surabaya that already not working for many years to be active again. So with the family who take care of the place, we try to invite the local Surabayan Jew to come to do it like high holidays like Sukkot, Pesach, and then on that time we have help the rabbi in Singapore. He sent us a few Chabad or Yeshiva boys on the time to help to do the service, to do the preparation for the food. So this is the synagogue, as you can see, the Teba in the Hekal or Aaron and the Bima is from 1940 something. And this is some pictures that I took before finally this synagogue was destroyed because of the local people in Surabaya terrorized the Jews not to come to the synagogue anymore. So now the synagogue is already flat to the ground. It's sold to the company, and now it's a 5-star hotel. There is no synagogue anymore in Surabaya. So this is a historical pictures that I took on the time, and we have visitors from French Jew who come, who live in Bali. Usually we have many Israeli or Jew who live in Bali. I invite them come to Surabaya on the time at 2008 and 2007. Then we can learn some basic things about the holidays that we celebrate on the time. By the way, the synagogue was destroyed in 2011. So just 3 years after we tried to re-establish again the service inside. And in 2004, back to a few years before, we got a permanent building that donated by the family from Holland. They buy a house and the land. So we changed it, we changed the place to become our synagogue in Tondano. And in 2019, we start the renovated, as you can see the gate in the front in the pictures. We do this in 2020. So we do the construction like about 3-4 years. Until now, we just finished to have a kosher kitchen. Now we have a mikvah, everything inside. We do everything is active again. It's not very easy, honestly, but we try the best. We try to fit the halakha because we're working with some rabbis in the overseas. We don't want to do it, and then people will thinking we'll like underestimate on what we're doing. So I try to work hard, so people will accept it what we're doing here. And then, yeah, from 2004 we have a permanent synagogue. So when the synagogue in Surabaya was destroyed in 2011, now this is the only synagogue officially in Indonesia. While there is a few congregation, I can tell you, like there is a Bet Chabad in Bali, but it's not a permanent. It's a like very secret congregation, only for expat, not for the locals, because they want to keep very low profile for the safety. Because you know what happened in Bali for there's two bombing on the time, so they very keep low profile, the Chabad in Bali. And with the locals, we still continue to using this place until now. It's been already about almost 19 years, and after since we use it in 2004, we just do the dedication in 2022 last year. In 2019, when we renovated the synagogue, we also decide we want to help the local people who have a big desire. They come to practice Judaism in the synagogue like from 5-10 years ago, but we cannot make giur on the time because we don't have bet din, we don't have a mikvah. But when we have when our mikvah was finished in 2019, so we decide to working with some open free bet din that didn't want to charge any money, because for the Asian, the currencies are expensive if you charge in dollar or in euro. So after we work with this very fantastic rabbi who want to work for free to help, some people need the humrah, some people need giur, some people just need paper. So the process of conversion is very long usually, but because COVID on the time, it can be doing less than 2 years. So this is the Betin that I works with, the Betin of Torah Ve'ahava, led by the Rabbi Chaim Ovadia and the Rabbi Michael Habib, and also Rabbi Moshe Otero and Rabbi Shimon, then Hollander, the special rabbi for the Spanish and Portuguese. So from 2019, when we work with this Bet Din, we also decide to change the minhag, because since 2004, we practice so many minhag like Ashkenazi, Chabad, Haredi, almost all kind of minhag. We used to some even liberal, conservative. But when we decide we just want to use one free minhag, that we don't want to split the Jews to that group, this group, we decide to change to Spanish and Portuguese. I will explain later. This is some picture from the Purim with the local Jews who make Yur, and some Bar Mitzvah and Sukkot, as you can see, and also the Shaharit with Minyan. When we do the Giur for the locals, for the first time, we have a Minyan. So now, like almost every Shabbat or holiday, we have a Minyan. It's kosher because they do the Giur under the halakha. And also, this is when we do the dedication last year. We have a visit by the Rabbi Jeff Berger from the Spanish and Portuguese congregation in London. I asked him to I asked him to do this dedication according to the minhag of Western Sephardic. Same like because we decide to follow the minhag from Portuguese synagogue in Amsterdam. We're using same books, the Sidur or the Maxorim also same. This is some pictures when we do the dedication, and this is the Hanas Shefer Torah when we got from the Kulanu. Once again, thank you very much for Rebbetzin Bonita, and also from the, we still remember the former President Harry Bogart, may her soul rest in peace, that we got help from the Kulanu, we got the Shefer Torah. This is the picture from the celebration when we get the Shefer Torah on the time. And for now, these pictures just recently from last month, when I came to visit Surabaya Jewish family, we also decided to visit the Jewish cemetery. So there is one complex for the Jewish cemetery in Surabaya. It's still full honor with the Jewish there, with the Jewish grave. I come to recite prayer one by one with some families. Then we decided we will take care of this cemetery for the praying, for everything. Because for taking care in the grave, there is their family who can take care of the cost for that. But for the religious purpose, we decided we will help to take care of this cemetery. Also with another Jewish cemetery like in the Aerofeld, or for the Dutch military or British military in Indonesia. I'm doing already for more than 10 years to visit to do the prayers, because I don't know if the family still can come to do the prayers or not. In 2022, sorry, while we almost finished do the construction in our synagogue, I do something controversy things to open a Holocaust Museum. And this is the first Holocaust Museum in Southeast Asia. When we do the opening in the exactly with International Holocaust Remembrance Day, January 27, 2022, I invite people from embassies, and we have a visit by the German embassy, German ambassador in Jakarta, also people from Austrian ambassador. They come and they deliver very good speech that they share same guilty and they want to support the Jews now. So For the first time when I opened the Holocaust Museum, I only have pictures from Yad Vashem. This is like exhibition for print. I only put pictures, but step by step, I try to collecting the artifact one by one that I can get it. So when I was in Europe last month, 2 months ago, I visit Jewish Museum in Berlin. I do some little construction as well inside, and because we have some artifact as well, now we change it. The museum looks like this. It's not only pictures and digital, but we have some like Hanukkah from Holland from 1940 something. Also the list of the names of the Dutch Jews who killed in the Shoah, and the page that we show it in the cast is the family of my grandmother who died both in the Auschwitz and the Sobibor. So I can show them the list there in the names of the books, and also some artifact like telegram, something. This is what the model of our Holocaust Museum now. It's not very big, it's very small even. It's just like 15 meters square, I think, if not wrong, something like that. But I want to deliver the message about the Shoah to everyone here, because many people still anti-Semitism in Indonesia. I want to fight not only anti-Semitism, I want to fight any kind of hatred or the racism toward any people, religion. So this is the reason why I opened this Holocaust Museum. Because most Indonesians never hear about Auschwitz, about Shoah. 6 million Jews was died from. So some Indonesians, they even a hoax. So every day I'm fighting people who said the Holocaust is hoax. I fight them in the news. I fight them in the social media. That I try to show to them that the Holocaust is real. It's not a hoax. So now the Indonesian Jews, we are a very diverse group, but we have a strong commitment that we will join the interfaith dialogue and understanding. So we welcome anyone here to want to learn about Judaism, the tradition, even they are Jew or not. But of course, for the not Jew, it's not to make them to converted, but just to explain, because Indonesian people need to know what is Judaism. After they know what is Judaism, they will understand and they will not anti-Semitism or anti-Israel anymore. That's the reason why I opened this Holocaust Museum and also this synagogue. I want to educate the Indonesian to stop to thinking that all Jews are invaders or something like that because of anti-Semitism teaching that they have it here. And this is the reason why I endorse all the community to active in interfaith. And the reason why I changed the minhag to Sephardic community, I don't say the others is not good. No, all kind of minhag is nice, but as you know, we live in Indonesia, so we need to eat rice on the Pesach. Impossible to not eat rice. So the other reason also because in Sephardic we not discriminate between denominations. So we not call this is Orthodox, Reform, Masorti. We not label people. For us, Jews are Jews. They are welcome. They can practice as well. They can, of course, before they join, they need to show it if they're really a Jew. But we don't split people. There is people can make a more mitzvot. Some people can do the less mitzvot. We accept them same. But we also extend our understanding to the outside world that all humans are brothers and sisters, irrespective of their differences. That's why we active in the, as you can see that I go everywhere. I try to active in the interfaith group, to the Lisbon, to the to America, to Asia. Just want to show that from these interfaith meetings, even Judaism will be recognized. And Baruch Hashem, last year, we can change our ID card. So the Jews in Indonesia now didn't have to put Christian or Islam anymore, that we're doing for many, many years. Last year, the Indonesian government give us change another option, others than 6 religion. So we don't have to pretend to be a Islam, Christian, Catholic, Buddhism, Hindus, or Confucianism. We have the 7 option now. Is call it believe in one God Almighty. It's a typical, very Jewish, right? Believe in one God Almighty. So because of, I don't say this is because what I'm doing, but I'm glad now the Jews have this option. So because of now we are recognized in Judaism is recognized, I start to make campaign like last time for the Sephorim, for the books, because we will start to do it the class, Jewish class for the children and for the adult. This is my program in the future. So Jewish life will be continue in the future with the education. Education is very important. Especially I'm a lecturer. I'm teaching law in the university, in the local university. So for me, education is number 1. Without education, the Judaism will be finished someday. So not only, like Simon Perez said, it doesn't important your past, but your future, how you maintains your Jewish family, right? Or your family Jewish. This is, I like the quotes from him. And thank you very much. This is for me. I give back to Ms. Andrea.
Yes, thank you so much. That was terrific. I have lots of questions for you, Yaakov. Many people have posed questions. Some about you personally. Let me ask a few. So basically, you said you teach law. Are you a lawyer? Were you practicing law?
Because I'm working for the government, I'm a government employment. I cannot do the practice, but I only teaching, and my student will become the lawyer or become the people who involved in the law things. I'm
So
only the lecturer.
when you went to school, you studied law?
Yeah, I'm.
Right.
I mean, my degree is a magister in law, but I will try to take my PhD Besar Hashem this year or next year, because yeah, I hope I can finish my PhD.
Is your ultimate goal to be ordained as a rabbi as well?
Yeah, for sure. Also because it's very important. It's very difficult for me to have a special time, like to left this community for more than 1 or 2 years in overseas to study. I'm not sure what's gonna happen in the synagogue. People will. So I waiting until like now. I practicing a young generation to become Hazan. If they can handle this service just with the Hazan, for the teaching, I can send them by email everything, so I can because after this pandemic we need to do everything face to face. So
Right.
now I try to take my PhD and my rabbinical ordained, even in I need to fly to like to America or some place. Yeah.
So a very sensitive question. Were you raised as a Muslim and then
No,
converted? No?
no. So I'm not raised as a Jew, but my grandmother, that she was a Jew, she married an Indonesian. She married Indonesian, came from a Muslim family, and that came my mother. My mother married another Indonesian, came from Christian family. So I was raised not in the religious way, but I live with my father family from I was a kid in Jakarta, and I moved to Manado. So I only learned like about the basic moral things about some Christianity, but I not grew up in my mother family who practice more like Islam. So it's easy for me to you can say to do the Baal Teshuvah or to do the Humrah, because from children my family already teach me about some story from the Tanakh, you can say that. So yeah, I don't have something the what you say difficult things to like no very hard things to decide. When I decide I don't want to disappoint my father or my mother, I want to choose my another path. Something like that.
Well, my understanding is that if someone was Muslim, converting would be very difficult and people could be persecuted for that. So you mentioned your community, people have converted into Judaism. Are those people, since they are primarily Indonesian, taking a risk if they're converting to become Jews?
We have more than 90% they used to a Christian.
Ah,
And before they converted, they was involved with some like a Semitic Christian, like to keep Shabbat, something like that. And then they decide they want to do it in the right way. So they they come to the synagogue, even they're not recognized as a Jew, they practice. It's like there is an article I read a few days ago. If people ask them, because they're not converted on the time, so if the people ask, are you Jew? They said, I'm not a Jew, but I'm Jewish, something like that. So like they're more, because not all Jew is Jewish, right? If you understand the meaning. So
yeah.
yeah, sometimes it's a unique if you live in Asia, with this, it's not like you grew up in Manhattan, or
Right,
in someplace
right.
in
You
Europe.
spoke about the importance of people raising their children as Jews, obviously to perpetuate the faith. So what is the educational opportunity for kids there?
So they go to the private school in Indonesia, and the teaching I teach them on Shabbat after the service. I try to teach, but only very short. I'm thinking to open like a kindergarten, Jewish kindergarten, officially, because I'm a lecturer. It means I can teach, right? So, but for teaching, you need like a Jewish material. This is quite difficult that we have the access here. So I started a campaign from last week in Facebook, Sephorim or Sepharim campaign. So if people send money, I need to buy again with the
Okay,
money. So, but if people send a book, that's exactly what we need. We don't have to buy, because
okay.
sometimes in Amazon, we cannot buy the Talmud. It is said it's not delivered to your country. So it's not
So
shipping.
you're looking for material for children, for young people.
I started thinking two class, for the adult and for the children. For the children, we can start with you can say like a story of the prophets, some parasha for the kids, or they can start to do the painting, coloring books, or Hebrew,
Okay.
the basic Hebrew for the kids. Then for the adult, I'm thinking, because we don't have a Talmud yet, said no any tractate, not any single book in the synagogue. So after we got the building, we do the construction. Now we're thinking about the education.
Well, I think Bonnie and I will have a project out of this to see what kind of material we can help to recruit for you. But what
Thank you.
language are we talking about? What language are people studying?
English, Hebrew, I can interpret.
English works for you?
Yeah, English works. Some I think almost most we speak English here, but if not, I can do the translation to them.
Okay. You mentioned the picture we saw in the cemetery. Are there several Jewish cemeteries, given that there was a Jewish community historically there?
In Indonesia, actually, there is a two Jewish cemetery complex. The one who still maintains well is in Surabaya. It's called the Jewish Cemetery in Kembang Kuning. It's a yellow flower in English, Kembang Kuning. One is in the Jakarta, in Petamburan, but now in Jakarta is only left two grave. No, sorry, seven grave. The others already put by the Chinese grave, by the Muslim grave, but according to the local, they said they used to a complex there. And then you have a Jewish cemetery, not Jewish cemetery, Jewish grave one by one in the Muslim section, in the Christian section. Suddenly you have, like for my family, you can meet them in a few places, not in the one places. And also another Jewish grave also in the Christian section in Manado here. But in Jakarta, in the airfield or from the Dutch military, also there's you can see there is a Jewish grave, but it's a mix between mostly
Right.
in the Christian area.
Are you
British also.
cataloging that? Do you have a project to catalog where all the Jewish graves are?
I never make it a list, but every time I travel to Jakarta, to Bandung, Surabaya, I always go to the
Right.
Dutch military and find one by one. I do the some like recite El Malera Hamim something. You know.
Several people have asked about whether there was a Jewish community in Jakarta. That being the capital, one would almost expect that there would have been some kind of little community or a synagogue or something in Jakarta. Is there nothing at all there? Was there ever?
There is an oral story that tell by some elder Jews that they used to a synagogue. They used to a synagogue like before the Independence War, but because I never saw any pictures or any article who speak about that. But there is the grandson of the rabbi, the chief rabbi in Indonesia. He said the last service in 42. He said there is a synagogue there, but I only communicated with his family, but no pictures. So I cannot make something because so many claims like there's a synagogue. My grandfather was Jewish, my grandmother was Jewish. Many people like to make something like this, but when I cannot find any database, I said I'm sorry, I cannot. I don't want to destroy this kind of the what I already make the research. It's not officially research, but I'm doing just for myself. So I know where the Jews in the past, you know, where they buried now. If there is a synagogue there, so I can tell you, like in Surabaya, like in Manado, also we used to have a synagogue, but it was bombed by the Japanese in my hometown.
Oh, is that what happened to it?
Yeah, and my family after they came from Surabaya, they're very active there because my grandmother told me about that place. We always go there, but after the Japanese bombed the synagogue, we stopped to go there on the time. And if you talk with some people now that came from this, it's not halakhic Jewish anymore, but they will say, I remember my grandfather tied something in the hand like this and praying every morning. But I don't know what his name is called it like. And I said that it's the tefillin. I show it to them. Said, yeah. I remember like this. Now they're very old. I collect all the story like this.
Well,
It's
I
like
imagine that people listening, if they have any pictures, you'd be happy to have pictures or mementos of the past. So we ask people to share that also with one another and with community contacts they have, right?
yeah. It's difficult to get it now because many people in Surabaya and Jakarta, the elders, they are very keep low profile. So I need a special permission to publish some pictures, but they said you're not allowed, so I cannot. But most people that I get it is some already in the internet, in the some website. So I think I don't have to. I cannot reach them, so I think it's okay. But if already in the internet, but I honestly I still have a lot of pictures that cannot have published from their family. Yeah.
So there must be some level of anti-Semitism. You referred to it in different places when you spoke about being persecuted and not accepted. Now the IDs changed, which means the government's a little bit more receptive. Can you talk about actual anti-Semitic acts or experiences you've had and what the community does about it?
Yeah, like 11 years ago, when I was walking in Jakarta with my wife, she's pregnant. I'm walking with a kippah. I was attacked by the 5 Indonesian guys. They asked me to remove the kippah. So they tried to, they said they even want to kill me on the time, but because they said, you please remove kippah or we will kill you here. You are you killer of baby in Palestine, something like that. I told them I'm Indonesian citizenship, you know. I said, I'm Indonesian. I same like you, I have the same rights. Okay, then remove your head. That's a head of the killer. Because my wife is pregnant, so very big on the time, so I don't want to mess with the situation. I'm alone. So I only take my kippah on the time and said, "Is this just a problem for you? Yeah, stop to use it or we will kill you now here." Then I'm thinking I need to be wise on the time. I don't want to fight them because of the situation. So I just go. But now, about 11 years after, I walking in the same place with the kippah, everybody says smile. They even say, I saw you into YouTube, Rabbi. may God bless the Jews in Indonesia. It's totally different. It's changing now, I tell you. I'm working in Java, in Jakarta, in every place in Indonesia. I even approached by the people you can say they dress like a Taliban in the
Yeah.
airport. They dressed to me. They said, Rabbi Yaakov. I said, yes. I saw your in YouTube. Keep well. We enjoy your. I said, oh, that's because I'm involved with the interfaith. This is the power of interfaith meetings. That
Wow.
once we sitting together, talk with them, all suddenly this prejudice is gone.
So
But
you're having an impact. What
yeah,
about with the Muslim religious leaders themselves in Indonesia? Do they propagate anti-Semitism? Do they speak badly of Israel and encourage Jew
yeah.
hate?
I don't know how to say to you, but in Indonesia, people still cannot make difference between Jews and Israel, right? So I need to explain to them if what happened in Israel is a war about the sovereignty of the country, but it's nothing to do with us. So if there is a attack to Gaza, you don't have to come and then talk in the media, close the synagogue in Tondano, close the. So I try to educate them. Once I talk to them heart to heart, and now I'm very close with the Muslim leader in Indonesia. I spoke very good, except when I opened the Holocaust Museum last year.
Yes.
Suddenly, whole country against me. I'm like became a public enemy number one on the time. Every Muslim organization asked me to close the Holocaust Museum because it's Israeli propaganda. They told me. I said, listen, Holocaust has happened before the state of Israel was born.
That's right.
And I built this museum just want to memorize the family of my grandmother who passed away in this camp. And this is for us, we need to remember. We said, never forget. We remember. So I want to do it more than remember, not only like memorial. I want more than memorial. So because I came from the university, I'm a lecturer. I want to do from the education thing. So I built this museum. Now we have like 100 high school students. We have like 50 juniors students came to learn. Now they know what is Holocaust, and they saw all the pictures. Many people crying. They crying. They saw the. They said, "Wow, we feel sorry for what happened for your people." They said, it touched me like, wow. I feel like my mission is start to be success because I want to
Yeah.
to show it to them that because because just some Indonesian hates Israel, yeah, because of the politics issue. They praise Hitler for that in the social media.
Wow.
So they send me text just a few days ago. They send me text 6 million hawks. And a few years ago, they sent me text in the social media that thank you Hitler for your 6 million %, something like that. It's make me like,
But
oh my God.
sadly, this is happening all over the world, and your
It's,
experience is the same. I mean, in Canada, the US, elsewhere, that what is going on in Israel is affecting Jews everywhere. The latest way to describe anti-Semitism is really it's anti-Zionism. People that hate
yes, of course.
Israel carry out hatred towards Jews wherever they are. So we all think it's very astonishing and wonderful that you are standing up for Jews as a small minority in a Muslim country. You're doing an amazing job.
Yeah, I learned from the UAA. They start with the Holocaust Museum tolerance things, and then they can do the normalization in the future. I told my Israeli friend, you cannot just come speaking nice and hope they will open the diplomatic. No. I said, give me time. I will do the penetration from inside. I speak about Holocaust. I speak about everything, Judaism. After they know our religion, our history, they will open their hand to you. I told them. So just let me do it step by step, right from inside.
So what's
Then
it been like for
because
you to visit Israel and they find out you're
I
Indonesian? What?
I visit Israel like almost 10 times, and every time I in some place they was asking me, if what I said Indonesia, they hug me, You know, some from lady come to hug me while I'm with Chichit and with Black Kipa on the time. Suddenly she hugged me and said, I always know there is a Jews in Indonesia. I said, yeah, of course we have a Jews. But yeah, I mean, this is like things that people should know, right? And we still we on progress to maintain our community.
Can you give us, in a synopsis, this is a big question, given your background and their mixed parentage, heritage, whatever, what drew you to Judaism? What, besides just finding out about your family, what drew you to it? What made you really want to become religiously Jewish?
Well, yeah, because when my grandmother told me that she was Jewish, I was surprised. I was shocked on the time. Yeah. So I said, no, you only make jokes. Come on. I said, you're Dutch. You're not a Jew. She came with the paper to show it that her family was Jewish at the time. It is a birth certificate from his family. It is said it's not signed because of the Shabbat. So I said, why Shabbat you cannot sign? It's I don't understand on the time. It's about the Maracha, blah, blah, blah. But once she told me, I hope that you can collect all the last, or like Sharit Israel, the last Jews you can collect in the hometown. You build synagogue and you keep maintains our people in the future. So that's what I'm doing. And before she passed away, I hold her hand and I told her that I will make Aliyah. If the other family busy with their secular things, other things, I'm the one who make Aliyah from your family. And then she cried, and that's it. My grandmother died in peace. And then, but my mother very stubborn. It's very difficult. I told my mother, your mom is Jewish, so that's make me Jewish. But in other way, because you're not practicing, I need to do lehumrah, I need to do this, and but yeah, the happy things I can see when my mother come with me in the synagogue before she passed away. She come to, at home she light the Shabbat candle. I not tell her she need to become a frum or become very very religious. Just light the Shabbat candle for me, mom, and then you can drink with me in Purim. I told her you can drink alcohol in Purim. That's the things you can taste. And then I enjoyed when she doing that for she came for Pesach, she come for Purim. And then when she passed away in her deathbed, before she lost his conscience, I guiding her to recite Shema Israel, and that's it. My mom, she passed away peacefully in the first night of Hanukkah.
Well, but halachically, you are Jewish.
Yeah, but because I don't know, on that time it's quite difficult. Some people like how to say it. Some many like I told you in the first, many people not practicing, and there's because like my grandmother, my mother not practicing Judaism. You need to do the lehumrah to make sure. I said, okay, no problem. Like to teaching from the beginning. I know my position. I know where I came from. So yeah, that's what the how you say it. That's how what make people thinks is sometimes very annoying if people asking you, are you converted? If I met people in the synagogue in Israel, you make giur, you make this. I said, oh, it's difficult for me sometimes to explain, But yeah, when we work with this Beit Din, and they help for the giur I also asked my wife to do giur on the time. And then I asked the Beit Din, can you help me one thing? Yeah. Can you make paper to me that I'm Jewish? I'm enough to ask to tell people about the story of my family. I don't want to stuck half hour just to explain who is my mother's grandmother. Said, Yaakov, technically you already Jewish. I said, no, please. I said, you said let's lehuma everything. And then they said, okay, you go to the mikveh with your wife, and then we make it paper for you. And just with the paper, it's just a second things you show it. That's it. Otherwise, you need to explain one by one. Your grandmother didn't to practice this. It's for 20 years, I'm enough to doing this, sometimes.
What, at this point, can you tell us what's the size of the Jewish population in Indonesia?
Oh, in Indonesia now, many in few article people say 2,000, 5,000. Well, I can tell you the exactly the fixed number. If you say from the local Iraqi and Dutch now, usually 10 years ago we about 20, 30. Now I believe it's less than 10, the Iraqi and the Dutch Halakhi Jews. And then like last year we have people who make giur about 50 with our Bet Din. And then I also hear about a group who make giur with a Reform rabbi from America. I don't know how many they already make it, probably 100, 200 people with the Reform community. And also, I know there's a group who practicing Judaism in Papua. They're already visited by the Kulanu as well, I know, but
Right.
I'm not sure the status about conversion, because I know one of them came to me to ask me to if he allowed to join the conversion. So at the time I was told, oh, why you don't have a gear? So, no, they not yet have a gear yet, so I need the paper. So I put him in the class. Then he studied for almost 2 years, and then he have his what you say a process. And also I hear about the community in Ambon. Now they practicing. They say they're from Sephardic. I'm not meet them face to face yet, but I hope I can meet some people that. I mean, for me, I think it's time for the Jews, whatever you're practicing, what is your political view. If you really want to be strong and recognized in the country, we need to be sitting together, what I'm thinking, under the political issue or something. So I hope I can meet these other people, then we can make sure, because I need a fixed answer. If people ask me, like you said, how many Jews in Indonesia? And Indonesia is very big, not only small, like not only Manado.
Your sound is affected suddenly. Can you?
But in Bali, like I told you, there is a bit. Uh, can you hear me?
Yeah, so
Okay.
it went funny for a minute, but it's fine now.
Okay, can you hear me? Yeah.
Yes.
So, like in Bali, there is a Bet Chabad. Usually, they serve for the local, not local, sorry, the expat or
Right.
visitors. Sometimes you have 200 people there for Seder. Sometimes we have, so I don't know if we can count them, but I'm glad that all Jews, even whatever their backgrounds, they're doing a very good things in this country with what they did. So I also understand if some people in Indonesia cannot sit together. I know I spoke with some friends in US and they say, Yaakov, is also happens here. Not all Jews can sitting together. So just continue.
Totally. It's totally the world the way
Continue
it
what
is.
you're doing.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely. In your congregation, are the women treated equally? Do the women also come for services?
yeah. We sometimes if we don't have a minyan, like we have only 8 or 9 men, we have 12 women, the wife and also some the daughter or the sisters.
So they count.
Usually we have more women than a man actually.
So it's an egalitarian community.
Yeah, I don't know how to say it, but yeah, usually they come. But like I said, in Sephardic we don't split people, but because people in Asia, I need to tell you, while Jews in America try to make it more free in everything, Jews in Asia have a different unique. Like they always want to think like everything like in Israel. So, well, like some people cannot not comfortable if they do sitting together. They want no, we need to separate. Then I need to. So from the honestly, for a few times I try to remove the mejitza because in Spanish and Portuguese, mejitza have not really an issue. Woman can sitting behind, man in the front. But some people say, no, you must. So I say, okay, whatever. I just want to have people comfortable, even we sitting separate. But I don't want to people have very fence, like. So we decide until we have the balcony. We're still collecting money to do the second floor. Until we have the balcony, I hope this issue can be finished because
You would have a balcony or a mechitza on the main floor. Is that what you're saying?
yeah, for now we serve mehitza, but if Sukkot we've taken out to put it, we just want to have I don't call it is like Orthodox or liberal or something, but I like to call it a traditional Judaism. This is Indonesia. You don't have Orthodox congregation or Reform congregation. It's like a jungle here, People try to.
I think that's
just,
true. The Sephardic, the Portuguese, sorry, the Spanish Moroccan community here says they're just Jews. They don't describe
Yeah.
themselves as conservative or Orthodox or whatever. That's the same.
Yeah. Because
Kosher food. Do you have kosher food or do you have a kosher slaughter?
I do the kosher slaughtering. I do the shechita,
Mhm.
but only for chicken. But I lost my knife almost 2 months, so now we cannot eat the chicken for 2 months. I know someone's to steal it or I forget to put where. Now we only have a fish. Because we live like in island. Indonesia is like archipelago with islands, so we have plenty fresh fish. So with very fresh fish, we forgot all the meat. But we try to import kosher meat from Australia or from Singapore, but it's very difficult, the rules. Even in Bali, it's very difficult. You need tourists who came to bring you. Like now, I'm glad we have a friend in Australia already asking. Say, Yaakov, Purim is in very close. It means Pesach is very close. How many matzah do you need? How many? Said, thank you for asking. I told my friend. So he will send out the matzah. I try to deliver to Jews in Surabaya and Jakarta as well. That's what we're doing for every year. But
You're getting support from elsewhere. What support are you getting from Kulanu? Are there still things besides the Sefer Torah that Kulanu can help with or has helped with?
I spoke with the rabbis in Bonita. We still wait. I don't know. They want to fix the Megillah because we don't have the kosher Megillah. The Megillah that we use it is only a Megillah toys that I buy in Israel a few years ago. But sometimes it's difficult to explain about the situation here because we have a sponsor who make the construction in our building. It looks very nice. Like it looks very, very good, the building, interior, exterior. And then people were thinking this because the synagogue is good, so people, they are wealthy, they have a lot of money to prepare. While as an Asian, the currency is very high, especially during this year, everything is higher. So it's very difficult for us, even for buy a Talmud set, for everything. So like sometimes I afraid people will misunderstanding when I said I need some Talmud set and people is thinking why you not afford to buy it while you have a good synagogue. I say yeah, the sponsor is once he said he only want to help the synagogue, he don't want to not focus on the other things because he's really focused on that time. And then we only have one sponsor, not 200 something like that. So we really need like we said we need the books. It's better we get everything in the books. Because like I said, if the money you need to buy, and then Amazon said no shipment to your country. What we can do with the money, right? So better in the stuff, something like that.
Oh, so someone put into the chat that maybe Kulanu can now send you a shechita knife. I think we need to know if you don't find it, we need to get it, right?
I saw some friends here in the chat, Mr. Rose, a professor. Yes. Yeah.
Right, you saw that?
Yeah.
Good.
I just saw it. On the time I remember when we met.
He's in Australia.
Yeah, he met I'm also asking if women read the Torah. No, because we practice in Spanish and Portuguese, is similar like other Sephardic. So only the men do the
Read
reading.
Torah.
Yeah.
I'm
But
going to call
like
on,
like
go ahead.
like I said, like in Spanish and Portuguese as well. I know there is a women's service, so that they can do have their own regular reading, their own Torah future. Because some congregation in America, SNP,
Um,
so women can reading Torah only by their service.
Yeah,
Okay.
it varies. Some conservative synagogues still don't have egalitarianism for women, but it's changing. It's changing constantly.
Yeah. I mean, if women want to do it, we can do it special arrange for the woman service. They can do that. But for now, women still, yeah, they're still sitting behind. No woman wearing talit. I mean, talit. Even male, we don't have enough talit and tefillin in Indonesia. So even we have minyan, sometimes not full with talit, not full with tefillin, only people. So yeah, we still try to get because for Indonesian, you buy talit, it's cost like about 3 million.
So maybe we can put that on our shopping list for you also.
So one talit can cost 3 million. Is 3 million is about 200 US, and is same like a salary for a month in Indonesia.
Very expensive.
Yeah. So one
I
talit
want
is 1 month salary, something like that.
I want to note that several people have said you're an inspiration. It's very true. What you're doing, and you're building your community, but really countrywide in Indonesia is amazing, important, impressive, and we want to support you in any way we can and encourage you, tell you that you have support from the world. People here are from all over. But now I'd like to call on Bonnie Sussman to unmute and to bring her video on. Bonnie is the president of Kulanu, as I mentioned at the very beginning, the parent organization that has been around for over 30 years now, 40 years maybe, as an inspiration for all of us. That organization has reached out across the globe to small Jewish communities that may have disappeared from the global scene, but are reconnecting, emerging, re-emerging. And what you're doing is, I guess, miraculous on all fronts, bringing together people. And I love the interfaith work you're doing. So I'd like to see if Bonnie has any questions or comments, and we'll wrap up this evening for us.
Thank you, Andrea. Thank you, Yaakov. It was just so wonderful and pleasurable to see what kind of righteous person you are and how you bring Torah to so many unknown places. And what you're doing is really a model for all of the Kulanu groups around the world. Halavai, that they should all get on the level that you are and plan the way you do. And I'm taking a list of some of the needs that you mentioned, and I think we can help you with some of them. I mean, I took a list and I'm privately messaging you some of the stuff, but I think that we can help you get to the next place. I'm really here to announce that March 12th, we are having a special program in coordination with the American Sephardi Federation. And you should know Rabbi Shimon Den Hollander is one of the speakers. He's one of the people who are on your Beit Din. And it's the Sephardic influence in Africa and Latin America. And there's two ways to go. You can either go in person, it's in New York City, or you can go on Zoom. And we're looking for people to join us on Zoom. And I know that the Kulanu webpage, and I know we're sending out emails. We would love people to register, even if they can't come in person. And Yaakov, I think you should come, because this is a new thing to that people are even noticing the reemergence of Sephardi Mizrahi Kabbalistic culture in Africa. It's much more obvious in Central America that, you know, when you have crypto Jews, but in Africa and in And in Indonesia, you're having Spanish Portuguese ritual, you're having Kabbalistic communities, you're having Yemenite communities, you're having all this Sephardi Mizrahi. So I'm telling everyone to please look for the Kulanu program. That's March 12th. At the Center for Jewish History in Manhattan. And you could even go to the Center for Jewish History's webpage and scroll down to March 12th and register through that. So with that, and I want to thank Andrea for such a wonderful, I mean, this was fabulous. This was fabulous. And thank you. Yes.
So I see that Molly put into the chat the link for the program. I wanted to mention that if people didn't see it. And when we send the recording, if you like, Bonnie, maybe we can add a line with the link so people can register. I think it would be wonderful. If people aren't aware of it, Kulanu has been a partner in the delivery of a number of programs on the Sepharad community. There's been a series hosted by Sepharad organization. So I encourage people to look for that as well. I think most importantly, we are learning more about our own people all over the world. And I think that in itself is so important.
Well, I want you to have the last word. I can't help myself. And Kulanu's in 33 countries now. And Yaakov is part of a much larger movement that's happening in Jewish history around emerging and returning and isolated Jewish communities around the world. And to have leaders like this are so inspirational, and the Talmidei Chachamim, the next Jewish sages are going to come from Indonesia, and they're going to come from Africa, and they're going to come from Central America and Latin America. So I just want to thank you on behalf of Kulanu and the Jewish communities we represent. Thank you very much for all the work that you've done.
Good night, everybody. Thank you for participating. And have a good day. You're just at the beginning of your day, Yaakov. Have a wonderful day.
Yeah, if there is a time, I still can answer some question here. I think it's quite.
Well, there was a comment here. Just
some like
somebody asked Bonnie if you want to put your email address in the chat so they can get in touch with you. And Molly has put the events in the chat, which is very helpful. So people can link up to that. And the other question was just, well, a couple of things. One was a little bit more about your own family, Yaakov. You have a wife and children, and is your wife Jewish? And did she convert, or did she grow up Jewishly?
Yeah. So my wife, she don't make a giur. She's Indonesian, because on the time it's very difficult to get a Jewish woman in Indonesia. Mostly back to 11, 12 years ago. And actually, I have decided to marry.
I'm trying to find, I didn't write back to him. Oh, sorry.
Yeah. So 12 years ago, my mother was very dying. And then suddenly she told me that she want look, I marry before I pass away. So I said, okay, I try to, but I cannot get a Jewish woman on the time. And then, even she not make the giur first, but we tried step by step to do the, and then she just finished make the giur with Rabbi Simon as well. And then it's not easy because for many years, I don't know the issue between the intermarriage. It's not intermarriage, you practice many kinds, but you practice Judaism, but the status is like, not because like in Singapore, like in Australia, you can just go to Beit Din. Beit Din is anytime there. But in Indonesia, you practice first, and then when you feel, then you got the right time when to do the giur. So my wife and children make the giur just a few years ago, and then my wife take a name Leah, and then my children is Levi Yitzhak and Rachel Hannah. And then there is a question asking about Jews. There is a synagogue in Jakarta. I need to share that last year I opened a new kehila in Jakarta. For what? It's like it's not really like I want to open the synagogue, but it's more like it a safe house. So if there is a rabbi or Israeli visitors want to keep Shabbat, we prepare one house. It's very comfortable with we prepare even the Sefer Torah there with the Aaron, and we don't really there is no mechitza there. I mean any kind of Jews, any kind of rabbis from any kind of backgrounds who visit Jakarta need a kosher food can use the place, because I met a Reform rabbi, a woman in that area. I met a Orthodox rabbi. I just want to give a safe house for any kind of Jews to have, if they visit Jakarta, need kosher food and want to keep Shabbat, that house is the place. So, but the kosher food is like mostly about the salmon, like sushi that they will prepare it. But it's nice with the tight security, the complex 24 hours, half hour from the airport, and you have Sefer Torah, you have Aaron there, like a Teba. No matter you Ashkenazi, Mizrahi, everything you can pray in there. If you come with the minyan, the local people who make giur with us who live in Jakarta will join for Shabbat there. So we try to create some place for any kind of Jews, or especially the rabbis if there was in Jakarta. So yes, we have congregation now, and
That's wonderful.
some question asking about
What are you seeing?
about the minhag. I think as already explained, it's a Western Sephardic.
Yeah.
Western Sephardic means it's close with Ashkenazi in some, like the model of Sefer Torah, it's not like the thick. We have a Sephardic Mizrahi Sefer Torah. We send it to Jakarta, so it can use by the Iraqi community there in Surabaya and Jakarta as well. And also,
How do you fund the house in Jakarta?
it belongs to one of our congregation.
Very
So
nice.
like he opened his house, so he will prepare the food, everything. There
That's
is a swimming pool as well, so you can enjoy a tropical place. And also, someone Naomi asking about the kosher ginger candies in Toronto. He said it's a Shaar in Indonesia. We have a plenty Mashkia who came from any kind of Badat's kosher. Even in Manado, I have a lot of rabbi from OU or from Stargate. Suddenly they come in the synagogue just for few minutes, few hours, then they go straight to the factory, because many people, we have like a tuna cane, a factory, and then you have a coconut powder, and then you have many things, many plantation, and also any kinds that made in Indonesia. There's a plenty Mashgiach will come for the SL.
It's wonderful. I'm going to shut it down now because we've lost a lot of the people, and wish everybody Chag Purim. Have a wonderful celebration, and stay in touch. We'll make sure that everybody gets the recording, watch for further programming, and wishing everybody well. Thanks again, Yaakov. May you have a wonderful day.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All the best. All tov.
And thanks again to all of our sponsors.